Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation on promoting diversity and equity in global education, particularly focusing on culturally responsive pedagogy in international contexts. In today's world, classrooms are becoming increasingly diverse. Students come from different cultures, speak different languages, and bring unique experiences into the classroom. Because of this diversity, teachers need approaches that ensure every learner feels respected, included, and supported. One important approach helps achieve this is called culturally responsive pedagogy. In this presentation, we will explore how culturally responsive teaching can help reduce educational inequality and promote inclusive learning environments in international education settings. Before we begin the discussion, let us first understand the main idea of this topic. Education systems today serve learners from different cultural and linguistic backgrounds. International schools, migrant education programs, and multicultural classrooms, teachers often work with students who have very different experiences and identities. Because of this diversity, traditional teaching methods may not always address the needs of our learners. This is where culturally responsive pedagogy, or CRP, becomes very important. Educational scholar Gloria Ladson-Billings described culturally responsive teaching as an approach that uses students' cultural backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives as valuable resources for learning. Instead of seeing cultural differences as challenges, culturally responsive teachers see them as strengths that enrich the learning process. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to apply culturally responsive teaching strategies in international educational contexts in order to address educational inequality and promote diversity and equity. In simpler terms, the goal is for us to understand how teachers can create classrooms where all students feel included and valued. Before we go deeper into our lesson, let us start with a short reflection. Take a moment to observe the picture shown on the screen. These images show classrooms with students from different cultural backgrounds. Think about your own experiences in school. Have you ever felt included in a classroom activity? Or perhaps you experienced a moment where you felt excluded or misunderstood. What made the difference in those experiences? So pause for a moment and think about your answers. Here's an important question for us to think about. If classrooms are culturally diverse, should teaching remain exactly the same for every student? The question leads us to the main focus of our discussion today. So I hope that everybody will bear with me as we dive into our discussion. The goal of this reflection is to help us realize that students do not enter the classroom as blank slates. They bring their culture, language, beliefs, and experiences with them. When teachers acknowledge and respect these differences, learning becomes more meaningful and inclusive. Culturally responsive pedagogy is more than just a teaching strategy. It is a mindset and teaching framework that places students' culture, identity, and experiences at the center of learning. In diverse countries like the Philippines, where student comes from different languages, regions, and cultural backgrounds, this approach helps make education more meaningful and inclusive. Let us now take a look at the characteristics of culturally responsive pedagogy. The first characteristics of CRP is recognizing students' cultures as valuable learning resources. Students bring different languages, traditions, beliefs, and experiences into the classroom. Teachers can use this as examples in the lessons. For instance, in a Deep Ed Makabansa class, a teacher might include discussions about local barangay traditions, fiestas, or indigenous practices when teaching culture and society. This helps students connect what they learn in school to their own communities and experiences. Another characteristic of CRP is maintaining high academic expectation for all learners. Teachers believe that every student can succeed regardless of their background. For example, in a grade 10 English class, a teacher may analyze Filipino literary works such as poems or essays while guiding students to develop strong critical reading and analytical skills. This ensures that students receive challenging but supportive learning opportunities. CRP also promotes fairness and inclusion in the classroom. Students should feel respected, represented, and valued in the learning environment. In Philippine classrooms, teachers may allow students to share their ideas using their local languages such as Cebuano, Ilocano, or Tagalog, especially during discussions. Learning materials may also include perspectives from different regions and cultures, including indigenous peoples and Muslim communities. Another important characteristic of CRP is encouraging critical thinking about society and inequality. Students are guided to analyze social issues and historical events from multiple perspectives. For example, in senior high school subjects like contemporary Philippine culture and society, students might discuss issues such as poverty, media influence, or the experiences of overseas Filipino workers. Through these discussions, students learn to become aware and socially responsible citizens. So, culturally responsive pedagogy is not just about celebrating cultural holidays or displaying cultural symbols. Instead, it focuses on integrating students' cultures, identities, and experiences into everyday teaching and learning. By applying the characteristics of CRP, teachers can create classrooms that are inclusive, engaging, and empowering for all learners. Despite progress in education, many students around the world still experience educational inequality. These inequalities can appear in different ways, such as language barriers. In countries like United States, immigrant students from Latin America or Asia sometimes struggle because the main language of instruction is English. The second educational inequality in global context is curriculum that focuses mainly on dominant cultures. Many international textbooks focus heavily on Western history, literature, and scientific contributions, especially from countries like United States and United Kingdom. Students in other regions may learn more about European or American culture than about their own local traditions. Third educational inequality in global context is socioeconomic differences. Globalization has increased economic development in many places, but it has also highlighted inequalities between and within countries. For example, students in developed countries such as Germany often have access to advanced laboratories, digital technology, and well-funded schools. Meanwhile, students in developing regions may have limited learning resources. The last one is lack of representation of minority groups. Globalization sometimes prioritizes dominant cultures while minority cultures receive less attention. Example is indigenous cultures in countries such as Canada and Australia were historically underrepresented in school curricula. When global education systems adopt standardized curricula, local cultures may receive less emphasis. To summarize, globalization has made classrooms more diverse than ever before. Students today come from different cultural backgrounds, speak different languages, and experience different social realities. Because of this diversity, issues such as language barriers, unequal resources, and limited cultural representation can affect students' learning experiences. These challenges highlight the importance of creating educational environments that respect and value diversity. Teachers must be aware of these differences in order to ensure that every learner has equal opportunities to succeed. Understanding these realities help us appreciate why culturally responsive teaching is essential in today's globalized world. With that, we now move forward to the next part of our discussion. Our co-doctorand, Ma'am Joyce Parejo, will further explain the key strategies of culturally responsive teaching, which will help us understand how teachers can practically apply these principles in the classroom. Thank you for listening.